Hey, this is Nolan Mackey from WTF Gamers Only, and today we're going to talk about some of the PS4 games that you might have missed.
The WTF Gamers Only Show.
The first game we're going to talk about is Earth Defense Force 4.1, The Shadow of New Despair. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, and it certainly is, but it kind of fits with like the tongue-in-cheek nature of this kind of game. So for those of you unfamiliar with Earth Defense Force, it is an ongoing series. It's had a few installments, but it's very tongue-in-cheek, very silly. Basically, the plot of the game is that Earth has finally received signals from aliens, and while many civilians of Earth are hoping that they'll be wise, intelligent beings, they end up being mean and benevolent and want to kill us all. So they send down hordes and hordes of massive giant insects and bugs to create chaos on Earth. And now it's up to Earth Defense Force, a task, a military unit of sorts, to wipe out these hordes and hordes of bugs. So as you can already see, this game does not take itself seriously. It's very crazy. And combat is all like a third-person shooting based usually, but if you've ever played anything like the Dynasty Warriors games or Hyrule Warriors, any of those kind of games, you kind of know what it is, except for just, you know, the setting's different. It's giant insects and the characters have guns. There's tons of content in this game. There's about 89 levels in this game, and there's 4 classes to play as. Each class plays completely different. One can fly, one's like a powerhouse. So you're gonna get a lot of playtime out of this game. It's really silly, but it's really fun, and I think a lot of people should check it out. I think you could get a lot of playtime out of this game and enjoy it, especially if you just want to put on something that you can play a level for, you know, a quick 3-4 minutes. Tons of different objectives in these missions. Some are time-based, some are like, you know, vehicles, others are like catching checkpoints and stuff. So it's a really fun game, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. Earth Defense Force 4.1, check it out for your PS4. So the next game is Nuclear Throne. Now, Nuclear Throne gained a lot of popularity on Steam, but when it came to PS4 is when I finally played it. This game is a top-down shooter with roguelike elements, where it's just extremely difficult. Think of something like a bullet hell maybe, mixed with a little bit of Contra on the side of just a tad bit, but overhead, kind of like Hotline Miami. That description probably didn't help at all. Basically, it's a really, really hard game that really rewards players for continuing to get better and playing it. So basically, you'll go through these levels, and there'll be all these enemies on screen, and you start off with just like a basic pea shooter, and you can upgrade your weapons by random weapon drops and stuff, and the further you get in the game, the more credits and stuff you unlock. And if you get all the way to the end, it'll restart the game from the beginning, and you'll continue on with those many lives until the game just keeps going basically until you die. So once you die, you get like different things that you can use to unlock new characters and new modes and stuff. And it's just one of those games that people go into it just trying to learn it and get good at it. Even though it's randomly generated, you can constantly feel like you're progressing. There's not really a story or anything, but it's just really addicting, really fun. If you like any kind of game like that where it's just like quick burst of play, and it's just all about you know, mastering the difficulty of it, I think Nuclear Throne is the game for you. You should really check it out. Nuclear Throne. So the next game on my list is Hyper Light Drifter. Now this game's been out for quite a while, but I didn't really, you know, pay attention to it until a friend of mine showed me the physical edition that came out through I Am 8-Bit. And it was really gorgeous, and I decided to check it out. And so I put in this game without knowing quite what to expect, and I was really blown away. I think this is one of the best indie games since Shovel Knight, honestly. Basically, Hyper Light Drifter is a top-down action-adventure game, much in the vein of like Link to the Past or any of the top-down Zelda games. It's got a 16-bit graphical style, and what really blew me away about this game is the soundtrack by Disaster Piece. It is fantastic. It's synth-heavy music, but it's just really good. I've listened to it almost every day since I've played the game. And this is one of those games that's honestly best if you don't know as much about it going in. There's not really I mean, there's a story, but it can't really be spoiled for you, as much of it's left up for interpretation. The game starts off with like some cutscenes, no dialogue, but it just kind of leaves you with like these ominous feels. And you'll start off on this big map, and there's basically 4 areas, and you can tackle any 3 of them in any order you like. Just the 4th one, the bottom one, has to be done last. And so you have the freedom to go anywhere you want on this map and to defeat these dungeons. And the combat feels a little bit like Bloodborne almost, where it is that top-down hack and slash Zelda thing, but you also have this like pea shooter gun, and a lot of the enemies can hit you really fast and do a lot of damage. So your drifting mechanic, which allows you to teleport really fast, lets you get in, attack, get out, kind of stay on the defensive, get in, attack, stay out. Kind of like Bloodborne, where you're constantly dodging, attacking, and just kind of playing the field. It's actually really difficult, but it is really rewarding and it's really fun. Hyper Light Drifter is definitely a game that you should check out, especially if you are into Shovel Knight or you're just into any kind of retro gaming at all. On the modern era, this is a classic. I love this game. So check out Hyper Light Drifter. So the next game on my list is technically 2 games, Wolfenstein The New Order and Wolfenstein The Old Blood. Now I know what you're thinking, these are AAA games, why are you putting them on a might have missed list or a list of underrated PS4 games? Well, that's because when I talk to people that have played this game, I haven't, because I ran into very few people that have actually played this game. Now I know there's a lot of marketing for the new one coming up and it's got a lot of people talking, but when I try to find people that have played the first game, I can't. There's not many people that have played it, and it blows my mind because this is one of the best games on the PS4. Now, even if you're not into first-person shooters, you should give this game a shot. What it's all about is basically it takes place right towards the end of World War II in like a bent reality where Nazi Germany is winning the war. And towards the end of the war, they have used all their scientific research to build all these crazy creations, robot dogs, giant mechs, new weapons, just all this crazy stuff in an effort to win the war and take over the world with the Nazi regime. You play as BJ Blazkowicz, a crazy American soldier who is determined to single-handedly end the Nazi regime. And it's silly, it's over the top, but it's a lot of fun, and there's actually some heartwarming moments in the story, believe it or not. It's got like all the great one-liners of like a Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from like the 90s or the 80s, and it blends it with like just bloody, gory gameplay of like Doom. It's one of the best feeling shooters I've ever played, especially in this era, and it's just an overall amazing game that a lot of people have not experienced and is criminally underrated. I know it sounds like it's not just because all the promotion we're getting for Wolfenstein 2, but I'm telling you, not a lot of people have played this game, and you owe it to yourself to play this game. Now the other one, Wolfenstein The Old Blood, was a standalone DLC that was released afterwards for about $20. I think now it's about $10, pretty cheap. And it in itself is a standalone campaign that is about 6 or 7 hours, which is a great deal of length for that price point. What you do is you play through like a slice of Wolfenstein a little bit, kind of like a different story of it. You still play as BJ, but the Nazis have figured out a way to bring the dead back to life, and so you're fighting Nazi Germans. Now I know that sounds like Call of Duty, Nazi zombies. It's nothing like that. It's an actual game with levels, and you're going through it, and there's some really cool boss fights in it that are just super awesome, especially if you're into like anything 80s horror theme. They kind of play off a lot of those themes in old classic horror movies. It's really cool. So both of those, Wolfenstein The New Order and Wolfenstein The Old Blood, you owe it to yourself to play those games. Please check those games out. The last game on my list is a game I tell people all the time. If you like horror games, if you like survival horror genre, if you like Silent Hill or Resident Evil, you owe it to yourself to play this game. It's my favorite PS4 game, and not enough people have played it, and that is The Evil Within. The Evil Within is a survival horror game that goes back to the roots of like Resident Evil 2 with Resident Evil 4 style gameplay. It's amazing, it's atmospheric, it's actually creepy. It's one of the only few games that have actually kind of made me jump, and I love it. It's created by Resident Evil creator I hope I say his name right, Shinji Mikami. I hope I'm saying his name right. If not, I'll put it down below me. But it's it really shows that it is made by him because it feels so much like what Resident Evil was and used to be. And you know, I just love this game. It's so atmospheric, it's so great, it's got an awesome story. It's a little bit confusing of a story, but you know, if you pay attention, you can easily tell what's going on. And we've got the new one coming out very soon, and I'm super excited about it. If you haven't played Evil Within, you need to play this game. It is so amazing on so many different levels, and not enough people have played it. So check out the Evil Within if you're into anything horror. Alright guys, well that was my list of underrated games on the PS4. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are there any games that I missed or any games that you'd add or take off the list? Let me know, and as always, if you want to see more of our content, head over to WTFGamersonly.com, our blog where you can read tons of articles about new games and all kinds of different things in gaming news. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and like and subscribe if you like this video. So thank you. This has been Nolan Mackey with WTF Gamers Only. Bye guys.